Hi everyone, welcome to Module 1. As I mentioned in the introduction video, I'm going to give you a quick update each week of what to expect and what you'll be learning about. So in Chapter 1, once you access the digital textbook, you'll be learning about rewards and challenges. And as I mentioned in the intro video, less about how HR does routine tasks and more about how HR can help a company maintain or gain a competitive advantage through use of people. So you'll learn quite a bit about human capital, different employee contributions that have value. So an example that you might learn about in this chapter is Nordstrom and their commitment to empower employees to accept any type of return, part of their organizational culture that makes them unique. You'll learn a bit about how a positive organizational culture leads to positive productivity, how important it is that a firm is agile. And some of you may have experienced this in your workplace where maybe you lost a key person, how agile your company was to be able to fill that gap immediately, or loss of knowledge that happened when the employee exited for whatever reason. You'll learn about downsizing, outsourcing, offshoring, and then later in the chapter, you'll learn about nearshoring, homeshoring, and furloughing. So hopefully none of you have ever been furloughed, but there's quite a bit of information about each of those things. You'll also learn about corporate social responsibility and sustainability. So as it relates to Catawba, that is a substantial mission in the work that we're doing. So you've probably seen that we have achieved carbon neutrality, but beyond that and being efficient, we have a commitment to sustainability. So I think a lot of organizations are going that direction. You'll learn a bit about how so many of the routine jobs that happened in the world in the past have kind of shifted because of automation. You'll learn about something called knowledge workers and how individuals are given sort of a wider array of knowledge to be able to fill different gaps. So, what I want you to think about in this first chapter is if your organization uses a human resources information system. Like, is there a central system where they post jobs, where you log your leave time, where you get paid? Is there a system where they're looking at analytics to determine what type of job applicants have historically performed better, or what type of data is your organization gathering? So finally, this chapter really wraps up talking about privacy. So you'll learn about different things like HIPAA, FERPA, and there's likely a terminology that relates to your particular field. You'll finally learn about minorities and how the Hispanic population is going to be much larger in our workforce by 2050, and individuals are going to be working longer as they're older. Then 55 plus, I believe, are going to be working quite a bit longer than what they do right now. And specific to Rowan County, the minority is actually going to become the majority. So that should be pretty interesting to our future. And then finally, in chapter 2, you're going to be learning about strategy and planning. So hopefully you've been involved in a strategic planning process at your organization before. Catawba just underwent theirs this past year. Really, your people and your HR planning has to align with your strategic direction, your mission, your values, your vision. So many times organizations do a SWOT or a SOAR analysis and look at the environmental factors, both threats and organizations they aspire to be a peer of. And in addition to that, organizations usually look at benchmarking, what some of their core capabilities might be, what their sustainable competitive advantage is, and what that's going to require. If there's a unique competitive advantage, maybe it requires a higher level of personnel. But in addition to that, organizations typically complete a cultural audit when they're completing the strategic planning process because the cultural component of strategy is just as important, if not more important, than the plan itself. So this chapter will talk about strategic alignment, which is key for an organization to achieve success, as well as forecasting, and not just production, but aligning human capital to what an organization's needs are. So I hope you enjoy the first 2 chapters. As I mentioned, this week there's sort of a long list, but everything's fairly easy. So your honor code, your location confirmation, introducing yourself. Some of those things can go very quickly. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me. But otherwise, I hope you dig in and have a great first week. And I'm looking forward to hearing more about you all and what's important to you through your introductions.